friends, with my partner, I'll find it easier. With family, I definitely find it more difficult, and I think it's because it wasn't really an open. There wasn't like an kind of open communication when it comes to money. Like those lines of communication were not really open growing up. So that's why I would find it difficult with that particular group of people. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. I think this is our official first session. That was a nice breaker. So here we have a dilemma. It's a case study of sorts. So there's a married couple. They have a New Year's resolution that's shared, and this is owning a home through a mortgage. So at the beginning of the year, they agree on a clear budget. They save in a shared savings account, and they decide to cut back on spending so that they can reach their dream. But things don't go as planned. There are several reasons. So on Maria's end, she contributes her agreed share to the common pool, and she does this monthly. And then she uses her leftover cash to secretly buy premium appliances and decor for their future home. So it's not just at the curtains here and there; it's the higher end ones. She never lies, but she doesn't bring it up either. So to her, she's investing in that dream, but to him, it's invisible spending. But for Alex, he earns well, but he has really long hours and quite a lot of pressure. And he wants to pay off the mortgage sooner and feels like he needs to provide more. So quietly, he starts betting. And at first, he has some small wins and then risks much larger amounts. And then at some point, he loses. And then he loses some more. So he's so confident he'll recover that he says nothing. But eventually, the debt outpaces his hope. So at the end of all of this, they're in debt. So my question to you, my dear co-host, is what would you do if you were them in this current financial position?
Can I go first?
Yes, sure, please.
So, what would I do? And okay, I can. What I would do is bring up the conversation with Alex, because you see now Alex is losing and losing more money because he's gambling to try and make the dream accelerate us to get into a dream, which is owning a home, right? But now, me as Maria, I have expensive things. Now, how I would go about it would be tough. This is really tough because I don't know if I'm willing to resell the things that I have so that I get the cash to get Alex out of this mess. I don't know if I'm willing to do that, or I will feel like I'm going back on the dream. Like we were already making progress,
Mm-hmm.
but now me resell, like putting the things on the market so that I can get the cash back and get us, because Alex is my husband, out of this mess. I don't know if I'll feel like the dream we were close to it and now we are not achieving it. But I think that's what I would do. It will hurt. It will really hurt. I maybe I will resent Alex, but I think that is what I would do. I'll try and give us a clean slate. Yeah,
So
I don't know.
we'll have a conversation first and then maybe bring up selling some of the items as a solution.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Wambui?
So I feel like Kwanza, Shiro is a woman and Terry, she's a woman and she chose to be Maria. So I'm really curious for the guys in the chat, if one of them, at least in the chat, they can represent Alex. But in this case, let me try and represent Alex. I feel like, what would I do in this current situation? So I'm guessing he has a lot. I have a lot of debt as Alex. I need to come clean that um some of the money that I might have put to our pool. I've been spending, and literally gambling, not spending. Uh, so I feel like for me, the first thing, man, I'll just approach Maria with the tail under between my legs, and just admit, because it's such a vulnerable conversation to say that I failed. Like I had a plan, I had a goal, like we had a goal, I had a plan, and then did this. But I'll also try to, apart from just discussing, like, okay, so maybe I'll stop gambling, or we'll have to liquidate something, or she has to sell her curtains and her appliances. I feel like also coming up with a truth where we're saying, see, for me, you're building your, you wanted us to, you were imagining that we already have a house. For me, I was fighting that we get their house sooner. We are fighting for the same goal, but it's different. So I'll try to make her understand that I had good intentions, and that paying off my debt, the appliances, we can start with paying off the debt first, and then or figure out a plan where we can pay the debt from gambling and still keep up with the mortgage. But I think it will be a conversation that I might share. I might shed a tear or two, but yeah, I think it's a conversation that's important to have.
Okay,
Okay.
interesting. I actually have a different question for Linda. It's when is it okay to keep money private in a relationship, if ever?
Wow, I am a therapist. um, yeah, when you come together, so you know the way when you are told two become one.
Mm,
So if two become one, if we think of it that way, then that means really there's nothing that needs to be kept away from the other person. Because basically what you're doing is you're keeping secrets to yourself. Because now you're acting as a unit, as one unit. You know, as a couple, you're looking at things, you need to be looking at things from the same lens. Yes, you appreciate the fact that everyone has come from different backgrounds, you have different money stories, you look at things differently. But that is why you're always told, and that is why we are here. You know, we are talking about the COINversations. You need to have those conversations so that you're able to bring out all these issues to light, and the other person gets to understand my partner, this is their money personality, so this is the way I can be able to help them. And even the other person does the same. So on the outside, you're operating as one person. So for me, when it comes to couples, when it comes to and couples married, you know, in partnerships, going out, starting to have those conversations is very important, because when you do, the more you have them, the easier they become. They're usually very, very awkward, because especially now when you're not married and you're trying to have those conversations, because you need to understand where that person is, so that you can be able to figure out how to place yourself in their financial realm. But sometimes trying to get those conversations, someone might just be thinking, kwani huyu atakujua kama niko na gari, niko na nyumba, you know, all those things. Someone might think very differently on what your motives are. But it's being open on your end, allowing them that space to be open as well. So I do not think couples, for me, my recommendation would be couples, if you do consider yourself as one unit, there's no reason why you should be keeping secrets or not talking about money. It does not mean that everyone has to bring everything they have and put together. You still have your identity as the woman. He still has his identity as the man, but you need to be able to have those conversations, because you see, if I can just look at this situation, you know, I'm sure from both their the way they were weighing their actions, Maria was like, you know, for me, this house, I'm going to beautify it. You know, I'm adding all these small specs into our space to make it a home. So when she's looking at it that way, she feels like she's doing the right thing. And Alex on this other end is thinking, even me, I am on this journey, and I want to be able to get us this house without the headache of mortgage repayments and all that stuff. Now, the way they are both going about it is what is questionable. And I think for me, I would like maybe just people to share with us. Who do you think, is there one who's more wrong than the other? Is Maria more wrong for going to buy all these expensive things and stocking the house? Or is Alex even worse because he decided, let me try and bet some money here. I might win those millions they keep talking about on those betting ads and be able to pay off the mortgage. So from your, just on the charts, it would be good to get people's feel on this. Who do you think is more wrong? Then maybe we can have a look at that. But if I can just look, Maria, had talked about maybe selling the items. Of course, you have to realize you will sell, but the fact that you have already gone with the items to your place you've used, you will not get the same value that you had spent for them. So be ready for that. That's also like another financial shock, because if you had spent 1 million, if you keep track of your expenses and maybe you had said, yeah, I've spent about 1 million shillings to furnish this house, and now you're trying to sell those expensive stuff that you are likely maybe to get, if you are lucky, half of what you had used. So even if it's going into the pool of trying to help you recover from this situation, remember, you're already 50% down. So that's a financial shock. Then now the steps for me, what I would recommend, because I work a lot with families, the steps I would recommend, one is just to be able now to get to understand where are we now, because there'll be like a lot of push and shove, like, oh, now you did this, you spent this, if only you had put that money here and what. But the fact that Alex was betting, Maria was buying all this stuff, means they had not even truly had a conversation on exactly how much they have. Because if we are truly honest, if you're not keeping anything, then Alex would have known that Maria has some discretionary income funds that she's able now to start buying all these things. Akiona hiyo double door fridge kwa nyumba, akifungua, and he's getting cool water. Now there are even those ones where you can tap and the screen does things. When he's busy enjoying these things, you want to tell me he was not trying to figure out, hii pesa imetoka wapi? Ukweli tu, yeah? And so it's just those small things. So it's being honest. Let's figure out where are we currently in our finances as one, as a unit. Where are we? Then now from there, figure out, okay, so what do we have? What's our situation? How deep are we in debt in terms of the betting? And then now figure out, okay, so we have the betting, we still have the mortgage, we still have all the other expenses. If they have children, then that means it's even more and more expenses. So they have to have like they have to sit down now and start figuring out where, okay, let's list all these expenses and all these debts. And then now from here, be very honest. We have to, at times, maybe even just bring in someone to be able to help us evaluate where we are and chart the way forward. But ningependa kujua watu wanafikiriaje, who is more, and maybe even if you are in their situation, what would you do? Who do you think was less wrong, for lack of better words?
Or more
Yeah,
right?
I have a contradictory opinion. I feel like, sometimes it's okay to keep money private in a relationship. So hear me out. So we are coming from different backgrounds. We have different relationship with money. It's not easy to change someone's mindset about money, how they're spending, the budget. Like basically, money management. You can't change it unless someone maybe equips themselves with the skills and actually here, like, it's not like we are saving for a house, like how we saving. If we save faster, this is how much time we're reducing, like that. Like you need to be literate financially. That said, why would I think keeping money in private to be so? I'm thinking for Maria, because I have seen myself, I've taken Maria's position in life in a different way. But now, instead of buying expensive things, it's just stashing huge amount of money away and pretending that I don't have. So imagine, like, in this, let's reimagine the scenario. So Maria, instead of buying the double door, whatever, she has a secret account where she's stashing all this money for the expensive things, but she's not telling Alex.
You know what? That's an interesting, and it actually helps us segue into the next question on
Mhm.
financial infidelity. But before that, actually,
Can
one
I
way had.
just say something?
Mm.
I just want
Let me
to.
tell Maria, we have something called unclaimed financial assets. Yeah. And at unclaimed
That's if I
financial
die.
assets, yes, there is about 65 billion. Maybe now it has reached 70 billion. Do you know 70 billion? Not million, 70 B. 65B to 70B. And do you know why they have that money there? For
Because
us,
of people like me.
yes, who say, "Oh, let me just stash it somewhere. I will not tell him anyway. At the end of it, it's for our benefits." The fact that he doesn't know, you are not sharing, you, God forbid, you walk out there in your very nice, sleek Mercedes, a truck comes and peters with you. No one knows where this money is. No one knows.
Mm.
He doesn't even know that this money existed. So all these millions that you have been stashing away for the family remain in limbo. So since he doesn't know who to follow up with. And do you know what happens after that? That money is now relinquished to the state. If no one claims it, it is sitting there. That is why there's 65B. Now, that was as at 2024, last year. Now I'm sure it's at 70 billion. Thank you.
Ooh.
75.6 billion. Guys, yeah? So it is fine to start. I understand there's a bit where you talk about the personality of someone. So you know how they are. So that is why you put structures in place. I will save, but we will save in a space where you cannot remove that money to go gamble without my permission. But you know where it is. If anything happens to me, you know how to access. And if that money is supposed to be for our children, then we have put structures in place that even if I go or you go, that money will be for the benefit of our kids and not us. So please, tuacha kupatia serikali pesa, tukifikiria, we are helping the we are helping the family. Hmm? Yeah.
Because now your kids never get to benefit because no one knows.
Yes. Yeah, the state is there with money and your kids are suffering. And these are real life situations. Like when I was in corporate, I've seen it happening. Guys have a lot, they've amassed a lot in assets. They have not shared with their family members because they think, they will squander it. And then what happens? Two scenarios. Either if they come to get to know of it after your death, you had not equipped them to figure out how to be able to grow those assets. They take that money, they spend it within something that you have built over the years, within maybe even 1 year at most, they have finished, all of it is gone. Or they do not know how to trace this money. The government is in a government bado na kutax. So, well, guys, tufikirie, food for thought.
Yeah, that's a good place
So
to leave it at. Wambui, do you feel like a relationship can survive when both partners are financially unfaithful in different ways?
For me, I was even telling my friend today, the way I'm thinking about marriage is the way like Indian communities or those archaic, I'm saying archaic because it's a long time ago, but our to a Greek, whatever, the way they used to do it is it's two powerful houses combine into a marriage for something. I was listening to a podcast by in Financially Incorrect. I'm hoping people listen to it. And there was an episode by Carol Mosioka, and she was saying the only time the government is involved in love is during marriage. Why? Like signing. The reason why the government is involved in marriage is not because of love, it's because marriage, that paper, it gives you permission to own properties, to do so much financially. That's where the government is involved. So I was thinking, for me, I think in a marriage, financial conversations, it's a must. But also I feel like you need some money where you can play with it, like you don't have to report that ni. I feel like we can have a common goal. That's why somehow I agree with Maria. Like she was contributing to the goal, she was contributing the amount, but she was also having some money aside where she could play with, and she had no obligation to Alex, right? So I feel like as much as we're talking about financial conversations at home and we're building um let me call it generational wealth, because that's the goal, to build generational wealth. I feel like also you should have some money, yeah, yenye nekangwa hapo kwa bra or something, so that you can play, and you don't have to feel like you're asking permission. That's my take.
For me, I think a relationship can survive when both parties were financially unfaithful in different ways. It's not were in the past. If they both want to be now financially faithful to each other, if it's a step they are willing to do together and stay committed, I think they can survive it. But if it's still yo ya kupimiana, I don't think they can survive. I don't think.
That's a good parting shot. And there's nobody who wants to tetea Alex. Nobody. Yeah, it's okay. We can go on to the next dilemma of sorts. It's a what would you do situation. So there's a tough, basically, like as we are as of now, it's a tough economic situation for everyone. So your older brother calls you because he's asking for money because he needs to cover his rent that is overdue now that his business has slowed down. And he admits that he's only calling you because you're the only person who he can depend on. And then he reminds you you secured your first job and he even paid your school fees. And then just in that moment, your child walks in, they have a tuition notice, their fees are overdue, and this must be paid within the week. So now you're caught, you're in a dilemma, a financial dilemma, you don't know what to do. How would you resolve it? So I want you, this is the like tricky part of it. I would like you to step into your parents' shoes and solve this dilemma as they would have done. I'm opening the floor to whoever is willing to start us off.
I think it depends on which parent you're talking about. If it's the mom or the dad, they have. I feel like both of
You
them
can
would
tell
have
us
had
both. Why
different
not?
ways to handle it. Hmm?
Tell us both personalities.
My mom is a giver. She likes she's philanthropist. She's those people who like invest in the community, anyone in need, family, like anything for my brother or my sister. So obviously, by me saying that, you know what she could have done? She could have just given the older brother money, and then she figures out where she's going to get money. Now her to pay the school fees. That's what
Interesting.
my mom would have done.
And what about your dad?
My dad is a strategic man. He's also a businessman. So what he would have done, maybe he'd give him. No, he wouldn't. Also, my dad values education so much. So spending school fees money is not an option. So maybe what he would have done, he would borrow someone money, but not the full amount that the brother wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Money that you think, for example, if my brother will not pay me, I'm cool with it. So it'd be
Ah,
like, yeah. And also he knows that debt he's taken from somewhere, or he's taken maybe from his business or somewhere else. He'll try and figure out how he's going to return it. But if he had set aside money for school fees,
mm-hmm.
it's for school fees. There is no joke about it. But because he also feels let me say, the black tax or the guilt, I don't know. Family sometimes does that. they try and remind you everything they've done for you. So he will still help the brother, but he will help him with money that he can let go. Like
That
he
is
doesn't have to put, yeah, he's willing to let it go. Yeah.
interesting. I wonder how many of us are would pick any which persona we would pick. Um, and now I might have stirred the pot a bit, but I want to make it. I want to stir it even more. So, Wamboi, what if this was a recurring situation where the brother is
Mhm.
usually is known to ask for money when they're in a tough spot, and they keep getting into quote unquote a tough spot often.
So the other thing that she rotated is my sister, and I don't know if my brother is here yet, but I have an older brother on this call, so I don't know how this is gonna turn out. But I think the thing that Shiro failed to say is my father is a middle child, and he's come from a really big family, like 11 kids. So that means the older siblings always had the responsibility to help the parent raise the younger ones. So one of the things that my dad is very grateful for his older siblings is being able to support him when alikuwa shags, when he was a young man, and helping him pay school fees, and actually securing his first job. That's one of my dad's stories. His older brother actually secured his first job, right? So I feel like in that situation, I think my dad would help the brother. But also I feel like that because it's a thing that is recurring, what I think he would do, he would be like, this is the last time I'm doing this. Like, I'm sacrificing to pay for my child's school fees to pay for you, but this is it. I think at that point my dad would draw the line. But also because I feel like he's pretty industrial, he'll figure out a way. Within a week, he can figure out how to borrow Peter, pay Paul, get James to do something, and then somehow in the middle of that, get some money to tell the school, relax, just give me another week, I get more money, right? I think my dad would think like that. Um, for my mom, I feel like if it's a recurring thing, or my mom, she's Mother Teresa. I feel like maybe my mom would split, but I don't know how that relationship. Because I feel like if my mom gives up paying school fees to pay for the brother who is recurring, I don't know how that will affect the dynamics. If they will be friends, like it will be a continuous thing. But I feel like if it's a thing that keeps on happening, I think my mom kidogo kidogo she will leave the WhatsApp group. That's what I feel. Yeah, there will be some space and distance from the
Mm,
brother. Yeah.
I'd like to hear Linda's opinion because this situation kind of brings up certain topics like, some boundaries, family financial responsibilities, budgeting on your own, even how difficult it can be to ask for money when you do need it, when you need the financial help. So
Yeah.
I'd like to know, what's your opinion?
I think first, the key lesson we need to get here is when you are listening to them sharing about what my mom would do, what my dad would do, and this you remember even as you go into parenting, that your children, the way you are observing your parents and the way they deal with money, the decisions they make around money and everything, is the same thing that will happen to you when you have kids. So they will not listen to all the things you are telling them. They will learn more from your actions. Yeah. So you see, they're saying, oh, my mom is philanthropic. For me, I feel like she'll be able to do this and this. Maybe that time she's told you, have priorities, do all this, make sure you have a plan in place. But you're picking more from what you feel she would do, her actions, and not really from the theory that she has shared with you. So a very key lesson. I always tell parents, be very careful. The younger ones take more on what you do than necessarily what you tell them to do. But I feel it's the conversation. From, if I look at it from the point of now, either the father or the mother who's in this situation, you want to help a sibling, but you also have your own obligations here. One, I would say, it is sad, but we are all adults. If you look at it from the point of you as a parent, you as a mother, you as a father, and your sibling, you're all adults. The vulnerable person here is the child. Now, both of them are basic needs. He needs a roof over his head. Of course, the child needs school fees. But what is your core obligation? It is your child. So that needs to be your first priority. Figure out, can I be able to pay? And even if you are assigning, like you are portioning the money that you have, if you decide to go, because you have three options. You have the option of saying, you know what, my core obligation is my child. You have come at a very bad time. I'm really sorry, I cannot be able to help you at this time. Maybe next time, if anything arises and I have some funds, I'll be able to assist you. Thank you for getting me to where I am. You know, like there's a script that you can share, and especially if your brother is a parent, even if they were in your shoe, they would want to be able to cater for their child first. So that can be your stand. Like, I will support you emotionally, give you ideas, but not financially. Right now, my financial obligations goes to the school fees, and then you pay the school fees. So that's the first option. Second option is to figure out, can I be able now to maybe pay a bit of the fee? I think Monica has shared that, look where you can split the available cash, pay a bit of the fee, give a bit to your brother, and then meanwhile figure out something else to be able to do, to be able to get more money so that you can clear that. But of course, even if you're doing that, a larger portion of that fund needs to go to your core obligation, which is the child's school fees. Yeah. The other option is to see what else is there. You know, like you are not the only person. Are you only two kids in that family? Is it only you that he helped? Maybe there's someone else, and it doesn't have to be. And you know, we are Africans. Like even your cousins are your family, and that's the bit where now we say asking people for help, especially if it's genuine help. You are stuck. It's not an everyday thing. You don't go to people monthly. You're not going to them like, you know, you are expecting, you have to help me and all that stuff. You have a genuine need, and maybe it's a temporary need. You are sorting yourself out. It doesn't have to be me as your brother or me as your sister. It could even be that cousin who would be able to help at this juncture as I sort out that one. So for that parent who's in that dilemma, it would be, are there other ways I can be able to help my brother? Can we maybe talk as a cousin, with a cousin who can be able to help, or maybe sort out other avenues that he can get some money, sort out, or maybe even just go and talk to his landlord and explain. Maybe, you know, they will believe if they hear from like a third party, like enyewe amekwama hapa hivi, just give him one extra month, and then within that month work something out with the brother to get him out of this. Yeah.
In Kenya.
Yes.
Which country?
Let me tell you, you never know. I tell people, you never know until you try. You never know. You might actually have someone who will say, you know what, aya, sawa, maybe nilipe tu with like another 10% extra for this nini nawapatia. Like there are options, but for me, I believe there's that one bit where your core obligation comes first as a parent. You have been put in that space, you've been given that role by God. Take it very seriously. That comes first. It doesn't mean that you're ignoring this one, but if it's a recurring thing, really think it through. Reduce that, and then as well go into the core of it. Why is it that no, his rent is overdue by that? What happened? Was it his business? When did it start going down? And if it did, why wasn't he talking then? You know, why didn't he open up then? Maybe we would have gotten someone to help, you know, figure out how to bring the business up, or maybe close it and start something else. You know, all these things. And that's the bit. And as a family, if you can be able to come together, if it's something that's going to keep recurring, maybe their business now has gone under, they still have to be able to support themselves. Hata kama amehama ushago, you know, like all these scenarios. Sometimes your business is not performing, then you pack, you and your people, you go to shags. Then you can decide as a family, and this I always happen. You can decide to have like a family pool where everyone will be able to contribute something small, and then it just becomes the basics. I'm not giving you money for you to go and buy new clothes and bounce there in the village in designer clothes. It's for the basics as we try to figure out how to get you back on your feet. But this is the bit where everyone comes together. Everyone needs to come together to help. So there is nothing about feeling shy, discussing the reasons why you got there, because someone in that family network of viewers will be able to help you. It doesn't have to be just one person. So for me, that would be the advice I would give the parent, whether it is the mom and the dad. And knowing family dynamics, couple dynamics, if it is a wife who's trying to help her sibling, her brother, or her sister, and anafikiria kupatiana school fees ya mtoto huko, well, those are discussions you have to have. In as much as you want to help your siblings, again, go back to the first conversation, please. Yes, you can, but let it be a conversation that you are having together. Yeah, to avoid it being now a reason to start having problems in the future. Unaambiwa pesa yetu wewe unapatia tu watu wenyu, you know.
I like that you kind of connected the previous one when we were talking about financial fidelity, because I actually didn't realize the brother, the person, the me in the story is I might be married. I like that. But also I want to point out one of the things that's written is admitting his calling only because you are the only person he can depend on. Just think about the last time you called someone because they were your last hope. Remember how desperate you were at that particular moment, and actually telling someone, literally, I feel like when he was saying, I secured your first job and paid your school fees, I feel like for me, it's like he was literally, it's called what, clasping on his last straws. I feel like he was actually trying to make his kids zile za, like, I know, like nilikusaidia, but
Remember.
remember nilikusaidia, no, please usiniache kwa mataa. So I feel like even in all this situation, I think there's a lot of empathy that comes when you start putting yourself in a situation where your older brother, it can be like 8 years older than you. So I feel like even like an older brother asking for help, yo kujifanya mdogo, it's not an easy thing.
And I resonate with you because one of the hardest money conversations that the hardest conversation I find with money is asking for help. Literally, my body even shakes when I'm asking for help.
And I think that's why people wait till
Again,
last minute.
yeah?
That's why people wait till, you've reached the point where, because, an ideal situation would be the minute you realize, well, I am going to have problems with my rent, you start thinking, okay, so who can I talk to? Who can I reach out to and everything? But most of the time, because we have such difficulty, even asking people for money, unangoja mpaka saa zile yenyewe, yani things have gone too south. Hey, now you are opening up, you are financially anxious, mpaka,
Yeah.
and that
Low
is emotional
survival.
lucky.
Let me ask, so now what should this person do? Like, you're at a point that you're noticing maybe you might not make rent not even next month, maybe the other month, but you're still trying to work things out, so you're not telling people yet. But then by the time, so you believe in yourself that it will happen, but by the time you're sure for real nothing, you can't do anything, that's when you let people know. But by the time you're letting people know and it's a crisis, then they're feeling like this is such an emergency. Why didn't you say earlier? Because like you've advised us, we kind of solutions. Maybe we can help them out in, I don't know, analyzing the market, something. So what would you advise? Because it's difficult. Yeah, I resonate with that. It is difficult to ask for help, especially when you do believe you can resolve it yourself. before it gets into a crisis. And actually, could I ask if you could let us know in like 3 minutes so that we keep time? That would be great.
Whose crisis is it? Is it my crisis as the parent? Is it your crisis as the older brother? I think just being honest, whose crisis? It is you as the older brother, it is your crisis. So, and at the end of it, again, as I say, as adults, this is where now you see the importance of having financial literacy skills. You see the importance of having those open money conversations. You see the importance of just being able to plan yourself properly. And this is for both of them, because if you think of a situation where maybe this parent actually had like a giving fund where they've been putting money aside, where saying, I know my family, they keep coming to me asking me for 2,000 here, this and what. So you stash a bit of money away, and that is your giving fund. If your brother comes and asks, whatever is there is what you can be able to give. That is your black tax fund, and you're able to give that. So you cushion yourself against having to think, do I pay school fees? Do I give that money? But at the end of it, if they come to you and it is a crisis to them, it's not really that much of a crisis to you. And that's why for me, I'm giving those options. See how you can be able to help, but your core obligations come first. And then you look for a very sustainable way of being able to do it. I can give you money, but can I be able to pay for you rent for the next 1 year if you're not able to raise rent? And that's why I'm saying, can you go back to the core of the issue? Why did it happen? Why are we where we are right now? And then what can we be able to do to heal that process so that we're able to set you back up to pay your own rent, to cater for yourself, as opposed to me having to dip into my pocket to give you all the time. So it's always looking for what are the ways we can be able to deal with that issue sustainably. And we start from the core of the issue. But it's very good to understand when it comes to black tax and all those things, it is there. It's their issue. No, it's their emergency, not our emergency.
And what if the core of the issue is asking for help? If he asked help earlier when things were going down, maybe things would have been better. Maybe it's not even his money management. It's just communicating, like, I need help over here. I'm overwhelmed. How would you go about that? Because I feel like from the people who signed up, most of them were saying that is what they struggle with, plus me. And also there's a question here, what is black tax?
Black tax? Oh, no, black tax is the expectations that your relations have on you when it comes to your finances. So like my mother, my father would say, because we raised you, we paid your school fees, and now you have that high-flying job and you're getting all this money, we are entitled to you taking care of us. Or your siblings, like this case, the brother saying, I helped you get your job, your first job, that's why you're where you are financially, you should feel obligated to helping me. So that is black tax, where you feel like any money you're making is not just yours, it is yours and the whole family. But the communication aspect, for me, I feel like there are very many ways, and that's why I like looking at how can we be able to have those open conversations. It's not very easy to talk about money. So can we find ways to change, to sort of like lighten the mood when it comes to talk about money? And that's where for me, I feel like one of the tools we can use is the financial games that we have, like the games that FinFund creates. It helps people to lighten the mood. You can share without really sharing. When you're playing the game, you can share the challenges that you're having or the situations you feel like are coming, and you want maybe advice from your family members, but you're not comfortable coming out right to say, by the way, biashara inaenda hivi, nafikiria kufanya, nifanyaje, au. But if you're in a setting which it lightens the mood and helps you to start having those conversations, you can do these ones, the COINversations, the role play, the case study. It doesn't have to be me, it can be someone else. Yes, it's Mali, where now you're sitting there, you're playing Mali, or you're bringing up a conversation. Najua nani, this is the situation he's going through. What would you advise him if he came to you? So that way you start getting insights. But I always say, yes, hard as they may are, and I understand conversations, especially with siblings, with parents are not the easiest to have, but try and find ways, use money to lighten up the mood. And the more you have them, the easier they become. And the easier they come for both parties, you and even either your parents to talk to you about money, your siblings to talk to you about money, your partner to talk to you about money. Yeah. So we lighten it up.
Okay, well, there you have it. Get a conversation starter, have the conversations often, and they become easier as you go. That's actually great advice.
Yeah.
Oh, I've not been checking the chat. My goodness. There's some interesting responses here. So Cece says that I think if you're in a relationship where you can't be transparent with your partner, the wrong relationship. I think this was about our previous section when we were talking about the couple.
Yeah.
Anastasia says, my partner and I have fun money where each one has their fun money and they do whatever they wish with it, which
Oh,
stops financial infidelity, which I think is also a really good idea.
Yes.
I'm gonna read a couple of them and then maybe you could let me know what you think, if you have any more advice. Yeah. So someone says, Monica says, oh, I think we read this one, that they should split the available cash. Eugene agrees that children or spouse becomes your first obligation. And it's kind of like blackmail for the sibling to remind you that they paid your school fees, you know? Yeah, those are the main ones. What do you think, guys?
I feel like I would really want someone to speak from the audience, because we've been talking about our comments. I'm really curious, especially a guy. I would
Yeah,
really want to know their perspective, but even a woman, you can, it's your flow. So I'm really curious to hear what they would say about the discussion. Also, there's a poll going on. If you've logged on your phone, there's a three dots hapo kando ya emoji, the emoji thing. And so you can press the three dots, go to tools. There's a poll that we're running. And the poll is, why do you think it's hard to talk about money? And then we can see the mindset in the group. Yeah.
interesting. I can see the results coming in, but anyone want to share what they think about the case studies we've gone through today? No, Ama, you want to ask Linda nyuma ya tent? I love that they want to come back later to ask you.
Yeah, for the ones we can be able to answer here, the better. Because I always say, you never know who else is going through the same situation as you, and voicing it out and getting insights on it not only helps you, but also helps someone else. Asking for a friend. You can ask for a friend.
Yeah, we encourage it.
Mm.
And in the meantime, we could also go back to the poll to see what people said. So if I look at the poll currently, what percent is this? It's actually kind of even amongst three of the options. Nobody said that they don't know where to begin, which I think is a good sign. I don't know, what do you guys think? But I feel like that's a good sign. Most people said it feels too uncomfortable or too personal, and the others, split half and half, feel like they fear being judged or misunderstood, and others were never taught how to talk about it. Yeah, that's our poll.
Yeah, so and maybe we just pose a challenge, especially for I was never taught how to talk about it. So what are you doing about it? It is good. That first step, you being here, is a step in trying to get to know what to do about having those money conversations. Getting to understand that yes, money is, of course, yes, it is personal, but because it affects very many aspects of our lives and we are not silo beings, we associate with other people, then that means the decisions we are making not only affect our immediate or ourselves and our immediate families. It affects the community around us. It ends up affecting our economy, and all that stuff. So when we get to understand that, we become more cautious and take time with the financial decisions that we make. Of course, yes, it's uncomfortable, but we've kept on saying there are ways that you can try and lighten the mood when you're trying to have these conversations. We have the Mali game. The more you have these conversations, start off very light, just and very light questions, not very probing. So whoever you're having these conversations with, whether your siblings or your parents, just ease them into the conversations very, very slowly and easy. Not those ones of ishamba tutafanyia nini. No, just pole pole, and everyone now gets to be on the same page, and it becomes easier. But it is very good to figure out. So I wasn't taught, if I'm a parent, am I teaching my children then? Are we talking about money so that they don't have the same script that I'm having? If we have these conversations 15, 20 years down the line, and your child is the one who's there, what would they say about you? In terms of how you'd handle the situations we've talked about. And if they were to fill this poll, would they answer there and say, I was never taught how to talk about money? Yeah. So challenge to all of us. And yes, do more. Improve your financial literacy skills. Sessions like this, getting to be able to have one-on-one sessions to figure out, understanding your money personalities, how to grow your money management skills. Very, very important.
Yes. We're actually just about to end, and I would like you guys to tell us how it went. It only takes 2 minutes. There is a feedback form in the comments. You can let us know what you feel, and also if you have any questions for Linda, she's right here with you. You might as well ask while she's still here. Anything you might have wanted to know from a wealth advisor, this is your chance. Yeah, even Wambu, you don't have anything you want to know from a wealth advisor?
I think for me in the session, one of the things that was clear is like financial boundaries have to be set and they have to be communicated. Was it something that Linda said about budgeting and spending, and the way like when you're like, sometimes even if your friend comes and tells you like you are the only hope, sometimes pesa zenye uko nazo ndo uko nazo, like hauna pesa zingine, so it might be hard to explain like, oh, maybe I'm not in the hata mi siko poa nini nini, but I feel like it's important. I was listening to someone, this strategy inaitwa the mattress savings strategy. We do it in Mali. So that means basically is when you get like a huge sum of money or an amount of money, you keep some aside under the mattress, like out of sight, out of mind. So that even when you're spending, you're not counting it as your money. It's like pesa ya kando. So even if someone comes and asks you, oh, but naona uko na 20K hapo, kole hiyo si ya kukuliwa. It has other goals. So I feel like that's one of the things that I'm gonna practice more. And thank you for reminding me.
It's very good to set aside. It is part of self-care when you're able to keep money aside for yourself. And whether you are single, you're in a relationship, the way that creating that balance, just because we are doing things together does not mean I cannot do things that are of interest to me for my own personal self-care. You can still be able to do that. But I hope your pesa haiendi kwa mattress ukweli. Because you're not protecting that money. Okay, kwa mattress. No. Out of sight, out of mind, I agree. But there are very many options out there that you can be able to put this money where it is locked somewhere, but even that money that you're locking somewhere is making more money for you. That's a whole different conversation that we'll be having. But yes, it's very important. And even getting those boundaries and people, of course, first of in the beginning, they'll be like, when in choyo, nini, nini. But after a while, they'll understand this person stands by their word. If I tell them early enough and they are going to help. But if they tell me they don't have, their money is engaged somewhere, and whether I go cry, I roll, and all that stuff, hawana. Yeah. So it takes time, but it's very good to create those financial boundaries with your friends, with your family, with colleagues who keep inviting you for drinks and expensive dinners and everything. It's always good to create those financial boundaries, because at the end of the day, the person who's going to have to face those consequences
is you.
is you. Yeah.
I agree.
Mm.
Oh, someone says, for me, self-care is buying girly things that I have been eyeing for a while. Oh, I lost the message. Oh, yeah, that I've been eyeing for a while. Me too, honestly. Terry,
Yes.
parting shot?
Yeah, I don't have a parting shot. I'm just like, yeah, let's keep those responses. We really need your feedback so that we can see if we've achieved the goals that we wanted by having this conversation. What did you love? What did you not love? How can we make it better so that next time we can bring a friend and so that we can make COINversations easier. Yeah, but overall, it's gonna do us a lot more. Yeah.
Nice. You're saying you don't have a parting shot, and that was a parting shot. I can actually see some responses coming in. Thank you so much for the responses. You will be getting your 30% off our newest game very soon. It will be in your inbox very soon. Thank you, thank you. But also, if you would like to stay connected with us, these are our contacts. We're FinFun. We gamify community engagement and make
You can
such.
take a screenshot.
Yeah, please take a screenshot when you can. I think I don't want to do you a disservice. Please tell us, what is wealth advisory?
Oh, wow. So wealth advisory is basically looking at all aspects of money and life. So we are looking at it from getting to understand how you earn money, because you can't do anything if you're not earning this money. So how looking at your earning power, we are looking at your saving power, being able to put money aside for future emergencies. We are looking at your investments, which is in terms of growing the assets that you have, so that the money that you are putting aside is also growing in terms of it's earning you interest. Then you're also looking at this wealth that you're growing from the money that you're earning, the savings that you're doing, the investments that you're putting aside. You are also protecting that those investments and those assets. So it's a whole holistic approach in looking at your wealth and seeing how can you start off wealth building, how can you grow your wealth, and how can you protect your wealth. So doing it on a very personalized, tailored approach, where it would be you as an individual, if you're single, you and your partner, if you're married, or even you as and your family coming together and seeing as a family, what can we be able to do? How do we draw our strengths individually for this collective goal that we have as a family? Yeah. So that's that whole wealth advisory aspect of it. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Linda, for sharing. I think we've come to the end of our session. Thanks for
There's,
joining us. Please look
there's,
forward to
there's a comment
Oh, thank you.
from Bella Jays. Thank you for the session. I'd like to ask, looking at investment and saving aspect, what investment opportunities have tax release?
Okay, that would be a quite a long topic, but one of the main ones we have, that when it comes to when you're building your portfolio and you're looking at how can I be able to get like tax advantages on the investments I'm doing, the main one that we have currently in Kenya is investing in fixed income. Fixed income is bonds, where you are loaning money to the government, and then for a certain period of time, and periodically every 6 months they would pay you interest, and they would do that every 6 months up until the end of the period, the maturity of that. So if it's 5 years and you have agreed, the rate that has been applied dictates that you need to be paid, let's say 50,000 every year. So they would pay you 25,000 every 6 months. So they pay you half of it. So you get 25,000 every 6 months up to 5 years. And then at the end of 5 years, you'll get your money back. The money that you give them, you put as an investment, plus the last interest payment. Now, bonds are usually taxed. The normal bonds are taxed, but there's an infrastructure bond that is not taxed. So that interest comes fully to you as the investor. So currently it's not taxed. They don't issue it often. They issue it maybe twice or at most 3 times a year. So you have to be able to look out for that one as well. So that's one of the main ones that you can be able to invest in when you're thinking about how do you able to create tax advantage in your investment portfolio. The other one would be some insurance policies, but that now would be like a whole trying to get to understand so where you are, your age, your obligations, how much you're willing to pay, and then figure out the insurance product that would be suitable for you. That, of course, also at the end, when you're getting your funds back, would be tax exempt.
Thank you so much for that. I hope,
Yeah.
Bella, you've gotten a thing or two. If you've
Yes.
not really gotten it,
Please
Linda's
do reach
contact. I
out.
hope you,
Yes.
yeah,
Reach out.
to her.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But can we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we can. I hope I'm not closing out anyone else. But it's a wrap. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Have a good evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.